Well, looks like we've got a visitor here again. KARAC Hendriks, This Road Is Mine. This week we're going to be talking about Jason Isbell and the 400 unit, the Nashville Sound. With me is Archer Hendriks. Hi, Archer, the kitty. In some of the camera views, you might be able to see this silly little guy. And then, of course, my boy Cohen Hendriks across the table.
Yes.
Why Jason Isbell and the 400 unit, the Nashville Sound there, Cohen?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, I guess
Why not? This is maybe the other answer.
that's the
question.
yeah. Well, this I mean, I first heard of him when you and John were talking about him, and If We Were Vampires, the 5th track on this album.
Yeah.
And you guys were very praising it for its beauty and melody and lyrics. So I checked it out, and of course I bawled my eyes out and thought about my life. And then at that time I was really into exploring a lot of music. That was the most I've ever listened to music. I calculated the time because I had over 100,000 minutes totaled on Pain of Salvation.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Just Pain of Salvation.
You had that
too.
app that told you.
I
how
did,
much
yeah.
you listened to or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And then in the year-end wrap, it told me Pain of Salvation, and I calculated it was a total of like a month's worth of just Pain of Salvation. So I was very into
like
music.
3 songs. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, 2.5 maybe,
It was
but
long.
So I was like, okay, well maybe I'll check the rest of this album out and see what he's like, and I did, and it is one of my favorites to this day.
Yeah.
I was just saying before we started that it's one of the albums where I don't skip any tracks on it ever. It's we all have favorite records that we can listen to, but there's usually, even on our most favorite, there's a couple songs that we skip. But this one, on any day, I could listen to any of these songs and just listen to it.
Yeah.
So it's a very special.
I forgot about the inside of that.
Yeah, all the pictures.
Well, it reminds me of the album No Code by Pearl Jam.
I don't know that one.
That was
actually,
their 4th record, and it had when you bought it even on CD. Well, that's all I had was on CD, and it came with actual like Polaroids in it.
Oh,
so every copy that you bought, you didn't necessarily get the same.
Really?
Polaroids.
Oh, that's
but
cool.
those are technically Polaroids, so they're just like the small
photograph of a photograph. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah. I love these pictures.
Yeah, I remember. I was really glad that you dug Isbell, because he. I obviously listened to lots of. I've listened to a lot of crappy music in your presence, unfortunately too. Which,
yeah.
But I've always tried to make sure that you had a good exposure to
music,
to the good stuff. Yeah,
definitely.
And this one you grabbed onto, and I'm really glad about that.
Oh yeah, this is one of my saving graces. I think of being a teenager in a suburban area. This was, I was saying, the soundtrack to my summer of 2018. It came out the year before that in 2017, but this and 21st Century Breakdown by Green Day were my summer albums.
The summer jam.
Just I'd drum them, and I'd go out and longboard and just listen, and it was awesome.
Well, 15 is the I would probably bet money on that. That's the age that everyone finds something about themselves through music. I know that's just been my experience, not just personally, but with anyone I talk to. It's like, if you go back and what album is your favorite of all time? And then you crunch the numbers.
That's true.
It's usually when they're 15.
Because Pain of Salvation, I listened to The Passing Light of Day when I was 14.
Yeah.
And it became, but it was actually like later in the year. So I was closer to being 15 than 14, but it's still very accurate.
I mean, pretty close. Yeah.
Some of my favorite albums I discovered that year. Probably, lots of them, and this was one of them. So.
For sure. Well, Isbell's one of those guys, and I feel like such an idiot, but I'm usually about 3 years behind. Like I have always been. When there's something that's new and everyone's into it, I usually I'm like, whatever. And then at some point, even Kendrick, I was like, with Kendrick, it took me till 2015 to even listen to
Good Kid.
No, but I did the normie one. Yeah, Butterfly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Damn I listened to as well. But
I
actually hadn't listened to Good Kid, Mad City, but we will be hitting that one.
Yes, I have that
as
on
well,
vinyl
for
too.
sure.
Yeah.
But I think that's a testament, like you were saying, you could connect with Jason's lyrics, with the songs. And that's a testament to a good song or a good songwriter. Definitely. Is that you don't have to be exactly like him. Or where he's from to relate.
on a personal level. I have no idea, but I'm sure we're pretty different people, because he's like country small town sounds like, and I'm
Yeah.
city boy, city slicker.
Yeah,
But yeah, his music really helped me.
for sure.
Yeah. So
Yeah, no, and that's great. He's an inspiration. So yeah, let's just talk about the album in particular here.
yeah, well, so yeah, Last of My Kind is the opening track, and it opens amazing. It fades in with the
Yeah.
and then the lyrics on it musically, it's like I was saying, some of my favorite lyrics are from this song. I know, yeah, you like the clapping on the one.
Clap it on the 1
3.
3, man. Yeah, that's one of my
great.
favorite first lines or first few lines of all
Yeah,
time. Because
yeah,
it's so true, and it's a kind of an insider musician-y line, but that's okay.
Well, yeah,
it's-
I remember Adam Levine on The Voice that one time they were clapping, and I think he stopped the song and he was like,
yeah,
guys,
yeah.
please
Stop.
clap on the 2 and the 4.
Yeah. And I'm not sure if you knew this, I may have told you, but so Springsteen has done a few like tours, just him and his guitar, or maybe with sometimes he has a guy on the side of the stage that plays some keyboards with him and maybe does sound and stuff. But he basically they tell the audience, don't clap, like don't clap along.
Yes,
don't
you have
sing.
told me that.
Yeah, and for the most part, they behave.
Yeah,
Although I just finished listening to the Stockholm 2005 concert.
Oh yeah.
And it's amazing because like he pulls out a bunch of weird ones that he hadn't done in years.
Oh
And,
yeah.
but they couldn't help themselves but clap in the chorus of
Yeah.
one song. All I'm thinking about is you. But see, there's always going to be a Springsteen drop in the
Yeah, of
but,
course. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, for sure. It's the clapping on the 1 and 3 is
Yeah.
is one of those things.
Musician things.
For
There's not a lot of out here.
But Last of My Kind, yeah, and I think again, like that's the song where I feel like I'm the last of my kind. He feels like he's the last of his kind.
And I
but-
feel like I'm the last
Yeah,
of my
exactly,
kind.
but we're all together, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I would always say one of my favorite lyrics ever is on the song. It's the one where he says, Daddy said the river would always take me home, but the river can't take me back in time, and Daddy's dead and gone.
Yeah.
And it always brings, I can feel
Yeah.
my eyes
Yeah.
starting to fill up with tears. And then the
crazy.
next time that melody wraps around, he talks about his mom instead. He says, Mama says God won't give you too much to bear. Might be true in Arkansas, but I'm a long, long way from there.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
So good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then next track is Cumberland Gap.
Yeah.
Which is
swallows you whole.
It does swallow you whole, yeah. Apparently I'm told.
Yeah.
And
Well,
then
the Cumberland River is a big river in the south, right?
Yes.
It's
I remember I looked it up at the time.
Yeah.
I actually at the time I had to look up the Cumberland Gap, and the next track I looked up was Tupelo.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Because I didn't know what
That's
was.
Arkansas, right? Is it?
Haven't looked it up since. I know
Crap,
it's a
I think,
place.
yeah. It's a city.
Yeah.
or a town. The
then-
Cumberland goes right through Nashville, by the way. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, an important.
Yeah, it's
Might
a
have to
important
visit
trade
it.
route. Yeah.
Well, and that adds a whole new layer to the song, I think, too. Is
Yeah.
like if it's in Nashville and the album's the Nashville Sounds. And
Do you know what the irony of the title is of the album, the Nashville
well,
Sound?
it says it was recorded at the studio.
Yeah, no, I mean, and Nashville is a place where great studios, great players are, and all that. But
Well, I think it's ironic that he doesn't sound like he's.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's So the Nashville sound, quote unquote, is the thing that got tagged when Chet Atkins and those guys started saving country music, quote unquote, in the late 50s, early 60s. That became the Nashville Sound, which was country with like string sections, basically.
Yeah,
just to make it a little more poppy, and something
Well-
we're still doing today.
Yeah, and actually, I mean, the next song after that, this is actually flowing really well.
Yeah.
But White Man's World, the one after that,
Yeah.
the string section in that is
Yeah,
beautiful, and one of the lyrics in the song is "Mama wants to change that Nashville sound," and then there's I think Amanda plays that cool fucking fiddle riff, and that gets me every time.
yeah, she's good.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
she's
good.
very talented.
That is
Yeah.
so good.
I don't like her solo stuff, but
Yeah,
I don't know.
I
personally,
tried
but
to.
yeah.
My girlfriend and I actually tried to listen to a song because I always think, maybe you should learn an instrument, and we could be like
Yeah.
Jason and Amanda or
Yeah.
Kurt and Courtney. Oh no,
Oh,
maybe not that.
definitely not that. Yeah. No, because
Yeah,
you
that's
both have talent.
yeah,
Kurt had some talent and inspiration.
yeah,
I
definitely.
hate Courtney Love. Sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, we don't. Yeah. Anyways.
Anyway.
And then after that is If We Were Vampires.
Yeah.
And that one is
Ugh.
lyrically and musically. Yeah.
See, if it's so, I'm so glad we're talking about this album, and that song I always imagined, like when I first heard it, I'm like, if I was your age that would have been the song that would have made me want to be in an awesome relationship. Like, I think the reason I really love the Mark Cohen stuff is he sang about things, or still does sing about things that he even at a young age, and like I'm talking like 12, 13, like you'd hear it and it's like he's singing about like heavy, deep adult stuff. He was already in his like early mid 30s by the time that stuff came out. But it just okay, that's the kind of adult I want to be. Like like
totally
sing about his dad and you know, and relationships too, though, right? Like talk, and of course the Things We Handed Down was the one song where it sings about his unborn kid, right? So and like, and I'm pretty young when that comes out, you know, 13, 14, whatever. I'm like, that I want to have children. I want to, you know, have relationships. So yeah, music can really stick with you. And when I heard If We Were Vampires, I mean, like, that's like, come on, like,
it's
really?
such a
like,
it's such a cool concept. I guess if anyone doesn't know, it's about basically vampires in folklore. They don't age,
right?
So it's under the assumption that if you and your partner were vampires, because in the gathering from the lyrics of the song, he's worried because growing with his partner that one day one of them's going to die first, and he doesn't want to die first because he doesn't want to be left alone, but he doesn't want her to die first because then he doesn't want to die first because she'll be left alone, and he doesn't want her to die because then he'll be left alone.
Exactly.
So if they were vampires, they wouldn't have to worry about that.
Well,
I mean, that's just one part of it.
So
too,
deep, but no, it's just it's such a fresh take on an old
topic,
right?
Definitely.
It's so hard to even imagine that that's possible.
Yeah, it's there's no love song like that I can think of, really.
No, it's amazing.
But and then the track after that, which on the record is the next side, is Anxiety, which is a great song.
What a cool tune.
Yeah, that is really cool.
Like, and it's such a, like, from his perspective, I mean, he's you know, mental health for males is, you know, up until the last few years has been kind of taboo to talk about, but he made it okay.
And it's very relatable. I think, I mean, at the time I was experiencing quite a bit of anxiety and panic attacks, and it's very nice to know that, obviously it's nice to know other people feel that. That's kind of cliche, but it's nice to know that somebody can describe it better than you can, I think.
Yep.
Because when I hear him, I'm like, okay, so, you know, it's one thing to say, oh, I have anxiety, but it's another thing for somebody to be able to describe it for you and describe it perfectly, which is anxiety. Why am I never where I'm supposed to be? Even with my lover sleeping close to me, I'm wide awake and I'm in pain.
Amazing.
It's just like scripture.
Yeah, it really is.
And then Molotov after.
Oh yeah,
I love that song. That's such a good song. It's just like a kind of a story of he and a girl, and brown-eyed girl.
Explosive.
And then Chaos and Clothes, I think, is really, really cool, just on a recording basis, because it sounds at least like he recorded his vocals twice, but once in each side, or they just tracked it, but they're a little bit off of each other, so it sounds very weird, but it's
because you listen to a lot of this stuff in your headphones, like, too, so you would have picked up on a lot of these.
And especially because I always had, and if you look at pictures of me from about the end of I guess it would have been 2017, 2018, 2019, I always had headphones in. I always had, if I was with someone, I'd always have an earbud in. So I actually got to experience a lot of one earbud, which was really, I've never experienced that before. And I never probably will. But it's just kind of cool being able to hear the differences. And then Hope the High Road, that's also a great song. Hope the High Road treats you well.
Man.
And then Something to Love, which is a great way to end the album, I think. And I think it's like, I was just listening to the Jordan Peterson podcast. I was talking about that with Douglas Murray, and one thing they were talking about that was really important, and that actually struck something in me, which is, I haven't had that in a while, is that forgiveness. And I think, to me, Something to Love is kind of like that, because you know, I hope you find something to love, something when you feel like giving up. You know, it's
amazing. No, it's such a fantastic record, and we'll have do up a little playlist here. Let's I guess we should just talk a little bit about Isbell. Like, he's obviously he was in the Drive-By Truckers. I had tried getting into the Drive-By Truckers at one point, and I just could not do it. I didn't get it.
Yeah.
But like a lot of things, it's where you are, what kind of frame of mind you're in when you're trying this stuff.
Definitely.
And I just was like, okay, it's cool, but I just I couldn't dig it. But then in talking with my buddy Sean, of course, he's such a huge fan. He you should really revisit that stuff. So I did, and now I totally get it. Took his advice or recommendation as to which ones I should listen to first and what order and all that too. And the three that Jason was involved with are just amazing. But of course, the rest of their catalog is really cool too.
Yeah, well, I hadn't heard of them actually until because for whatever reason, Jason is one that sometimes when I fall in love with an artist and their art, I get scared to learn about them, and I think it's probably because I don't want to. Maybe there's something I don't want to know.
Ask our buddy Chris Tabbert about the time he read the book about Neil Young.
Oh, I think I've heard of this story.
There's a book called Shaky. Yeah, it's it was kind of for a long time. It may still be like the definitive Neil Young biography. Obviously not an autobiography. And he's just an asshole. Like he's just, but you have to be a really unique, boundary pushing artist or whatever.
Yeah.
But it sure painted a new spin for him, if I recall, on Zidle or whatever.
Well,
but
and I think because you paint a picture of them, and then when you find out it's wrong, that it can destroy a lot of things. It could destroy the art for you. So sometimes I think it's good to keep it a mystery, and that's probably why I kept away from learning about him for so long. Recently, I've started. I listened to his older stuff, like his solo.
Like the Sirens of the Ditch or whatever they.
I think so. I can't remember.
I can't remember the name of it.
It was actually months ago, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I remember there were some songs that really struck me.
Oh yeah, for sure. Even like the song "Decoration Day" was a Drive-By Truckers song, and it was so good that they actually named the album that. But and he only had I think 3 songs on that album or something like that. But that was one of his early sort of masterpieces. So I'm thinking I'll probably start the podcast or the playlist with that one.
That would be probably a good way.
Yeah.
And when Reunions came out,
Oof.
That was amazing.
Yeah, and it's I'm glad that you got into him. So you'll notice on the back, so Dave Cobb is the producer of this, and Dave has become sort of the go-to guy for people often for a lot of people, similar to how we were talking about Loretta Lynn, like for people to kind of either rediscover themselves or to just kind of cut the crap.
Yeah.
He does have a kind of a sound. He didn't initially. He would be kind of the producer that would just stay out of the way of the artist a little bit. But I've noticed there's a bit of a shift. He's definitely putting some stamps on it, but it's good stuff. But he produced this. He also he was responsible for this sort of resurgence of the anti-bro country, I guess you could call it.
Yeah.
So obviously Chris Stapleton he produced, and
I do need to listen to what's that Chris Stapleton record?
Well, the one that's called Traveler. That was
I don't know. I'm gonna check him out actually.
Traveler would be the one that that was really his first official solo album anyway. It struck a pretty good balance between being somewhat commercial while still being pretty rootsy, and that's a hard thing to do. Coupled with the fact that he's 100 pounds overweight, he's kind of an inspiration.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, so you can just be good? Oh, okay, I didn't realize that.
It's pretty, Me neither.
I have theories about how that happened and everything, too, with making him a star, but that's a whole other point. But but Dave Cobb's responsible for that, too. He's been a big champion of a lot of records, and he produced an album by a little band called Europe.
Really?
Yes.
What album was it?
It was like a relatively recent one. Okay. So I think his wife is related to somebody in the band or something.
That's
anyway,
weird.
so he was just cool, like, sure, I'll produce you guys. Yeah, why not? I haven't listened to it. I could give a shit about Europe anymore, but they were actually a pretty good band, if I recall. In their own way. But
I mean, maybe it's just because both their names are continents, but they make me think of Asia.
It's progressive poppy rock.
Actually, I just had an idea. They should do a collaboration called Eurasia. That would be brilliant.
Oh yes, yeah.
That would be amazing.
That is so nerdy. Wow.
That is, but that would be awesome.
That would be awesome. Yeah. Oh boy.
Okay, that needs to happen one day.
But Dave Cobb did a record called Southern Family, and it's built on an album. The basis of it was about 20 years prior. there's a songwriter named Paul Kennerly. He was actually married to Emmylou Harris at one point.
Oh, yeah.
Really good songwriter. Yeah, a bit of a singer too. He had a few singles. I don't think he ever did an album for a long time, but he did a couple concept records based around Jesse James and like kind of the West. But he's British.
Oh.
So, but he did these albums where I don't even really, he didn't sing a lot on it, but it was like guests, and it was like there was a thematic element to the. One album's called White Mansions, and then the other one's like
Right.
The Legend of Jesse James. So there was these two records, and they were on major label, like on A&M or whatever, and they weren't rare. They're not rare, but they definitely weren't popular by any means. But they were comprised of these songs that he had written and having other artists sing them. And Dave Cobb was a huge fan of those records and did his own record in a similar fashion and called The Southern Family. So there's songs, I think there's like even some old classic songs there too, but like a lot of songs that he had written or co-written, and they're all just different artists. So I can't remember. Jason might be on that one, but definitely Stapleton and his wife. Morgan's a great singer too. So, really, really cool guy, and responsible for helping people like Jason, just find themselves. If I recall, I think Dave did produce Southeastern as well, but I don't think he produced something more than Free, if I recall. I think that was the one. He may have. If only I had a gigantic computer in front of me that could tell me all of this stuff. But that's kind of the fun of it, isn't it? It's just winging it.
I think so, yeah.
And I'm just,
authentic.
as people are listening, they're just like yelling at their speaker, telling us the correct answers. Yeah, that's the idea. I know I do it all the time.
Yeah,
There's nothing worse when I hear people misspeaking about facts and things.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Oh, boy.
Yep.
But definitely have Dave Cobb, and his last masterpiece, in my opinion, is the Brandy Carlisle record that he produced. By the way,
I haven't dug into her much, but I'd like to.
Yeah, she's she's like a lot of artists for me. Like I was like huge into her, and then I kind of phased off. But she did it again, like that last record that he produced. Yeah, really.
Actually, that's funny. I'm not a super big fan of her voice.
Well, I hear you.
What was it? The Story.
Yeah,
that because Mom loves that song.
Well, that was the song that a lot of people they finally noticed her. That was her second record, actually.
I love. To me, that's like the chord progression.
Oh, it's
that's super
up.
simple. Yeah. Like, is that even just like a one?
Yeah, it's just 1 5 6 4. Yeah,
it's
pretty straight up. Yeah.
Yeah, which is actually funny because to me that's like a formulaic Green Day song.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
But it's kick ass.
Well, it is, but yeah, I know what you mean. Her voice, like she almost has an operatic quality. Like her vibrato is so deep sometimes. She's almost like jumping from like a half step at times.
Yeah.
So she's on pitch and then she's flat and she's on. But yeah, she is a world-class singer. There's no question. But she's so emotive too. I think that's why a lot of people love The Story. And there was a handful of other songs in that era that
Well, we were talking about like Bruce Hornsby and Madman Across the Water last time, and actually, in my search, I don't think I mentioned this. I found a live version of her doing it.
Yes.
And
she's a huge
cool.
Elton fan.
Yeah.
Actually, I think is Elton maybe one of like the godparent of one of her kids or something.
Really?
Yeah, I think
That's
there's
cool.
like they're like friends. Like they're
Right.
but she was a huge fan. If there's a version of her doing he had a song called Tonight that was on a album called Blue Moves.
Okay.
A lot of people didn't like the record. It was, he was heavy into the coke then and just like meandering, but it was a double record. It was, but that was a beautiful song called Tonight. George Michael does a great version of it as well.
Oh yeah.
On the album, the tribute album that the original Hornsby version of Madman is on.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, she does a version of live, just her and piano, and it's just she could sing any Elton John song, I think, because she knows them all. Like she's just a super fan.
The one I saw was just like a live version. It was like acoustic, and there was like her band, I think.
Yeah,
but
just
still cool.
The brothers or whatever.
I think so.
The twins?
Yeah. I just listened to it so far in the vehicle a couple times.
Yeah,
because I'm really into. I'd like to get into Hornsby. It's really hard though because we're just using YouTube Music right now.
Yeah.
So I've kind of been taking the experience to just kind of experience songs again as opposed to albums, which has been nice.
Well, you can pull albums down, right?
But I pulled down Time Out by Dave Brubeck, and I've been listening to that, which is a great record. But
it's the interface, YouTube Music is garbage.
I don't even use it. I just use YouTube.
Yeah.
and download it.
But
through
yeah,
there.
on the YouTube Music app, like you can pull it up and it's got discography and albums and stuff too. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's not
it's
as
not
nice.
quite there, and
No.
it shouldn't be. It's YouTube.
But the problem is that, like, that's the only reason I can justify paying it right now. Is like it's $17 a month for the family plan.
Yeah.
And I don't even really watch YouTube a lot, so
Well, it's perfect for me.
Yeah,
'cause,
that's
pretty much all I do on my phone is YouTube, because it's got everything. It's got
Yeah.
the visual and auditory. It's got podcasts, music, movies, shows, videos.
yeah,
I think YouTube with a subscription-based service could dominate if they started including more videos.
Yeah.
And by videos I mean like television shows and movies.
well,
which
and
they have.
they have, but it's not. There's nothing
'Cause-
on. Yeah.
And you can
Yeah.
buy them and rent them through YouTube, but
Yeah.
who wants to do that?
Well, they have their own originals. There's a section called YouTube Originals.
Yes,
too,
there
and
is. Yeah,
it's-
there's
but-
one I want to watch actually.
Well, that-
It looks really cool. I can't remember what it's called. I think it's about like I'll have to find it.
Yeah, I looked through and I'm like, well, I'm paying $17 a month. I should, but I'm just, But it does come in handy when you do pull up YouTube and there's no ads. And if you
That
don't,
is
if you don't have the
awesome,
right browser to use the ad blocker and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, back to Jason.
Yes.
Isbell.
Yeah. That should be something. We should just see how far we can go.
Taking it way out there. Yeah. Well, we could always bring it back. I mean, because I'm looking at the physical copy of,
Yes.
of the vinyl, which I'm glad you've got the vinyl too. That's a
And actually,
good choice. Yeah.
I love, because I have a list of vinyls. Oh, you know what? The other album of that year was Billy Talent 3. That's what it was.
Really? Of
I've
all
been
the-
trying to remember because my memory's kind of wiped from that
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
But yeah, those were the three. That was the trio. It was Billy Talent 3, 21st Century Breakdown, and Nashville Sounds. And
Good choices. And I love all the Billy Talent records. I have a hard
Yeah.
time remembering what song is on what album anymore. But
Oh, really?
well, we've
I
listened
mean,
to them so much. Like,
I do for 1 and 2.
yeah, maybe
to me,
that's
3 is just and
it's- yeah.
who produced I'm drawing a blank on his name, but it's like the best.
Oh, Brendan O'Brien.
Yes,
yes, he
yes.
did. Who also produced some stuff for Springsteen. So see,
Oh, there you
we're
go.
always going to bring
Yeah,
some back into it. But
And Pearl Jam.
yeah, well, yeah. His record in the 90s, like his track record in the 90s was.
Yeah.
was
Oh, and didn't
phenomenal.
he do Buffalo Nickel?
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
and I
yeah,
love
and
that
he and
record,
Dan
too.
like played basically everything. Yeah, Dan Barrett.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, that's a great record,
yeah.
actually.
Bass. Yeah.
What about Love Songs for the Hearing Impaired?
Yeah, I think they did both
Yeah.
records. Yeah.
I haven't listened to that fully yet.
Oh, so good. Oh, I
'Cause
love
I-
Dan Baird. Yeah.
I remember in the house, you just sent me a link or a picture. You were like, hey, if you want to check this out, this is a really cool record. It was Buffalo Nickel. And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
sure. And I listened to it, and it's Younger Face is
Yeah.
one of my favorite songs ever. That's such a cool
It has
song.
one of the first like bang 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 like first 3 or 4 tracks are just like so good, especially
Yeah,
for
what was...
very rarely does an album just knock me out every song right.
Well, and Birthday.
Well, that's
is-
later, but yeah,
that was like
yeah,
8
no,
or
yeah,
9, I think.
yeah, Younger Face, and then Cumberland River is Filthy Dirty Brown, yeah,
When Cumberland
yeah,
Gap.
yeah, that's right.
Right at front,
And then
but-
his version of the NRBQ tune, "I Want You Bad."
oh, I don't even remember
Lately,
that.
it's been driving me mad because you're the best.
Oh,
thing.
yes.
yeah,
And Hush.
yeah.
What? That's
which
such a weird record.
Well, that's that was a of
Deep
course.
Purple.
Well,
Or was it?
Tony? Crap, I forget. No, somebody slapped me. Yeah, but yeah, their version was great too.
Yeah.
No, it was actually another guy as well
Oh,
around
really?
the same time. Yeah, remember back in those eras, there would be like an American version and a British version often
Right.
because the records were still hard to get across the pond. And
Yeah.
Joe South.
Joe South.
Joe
okay,
South.
yeah.
I think he wrote it too. But
Okay.
yeah, but yeah, Purple's version's great. But yeah, I love Dan Baird's version.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So fun.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Woke Up Jake.
Yeah, Wake Up
that's-
Jake.
Or Wake Up Jake.
It's
Yeah,
gonna be
that's cool.
Going to be a goner. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and see, it's so funny because a lot of people knew the first one, like Love Songs for the Hearing Impaired, because
Yeah.
one of the best album titles of all time.
Yeah, and I love
Yeah.
the cover.
The kid covering his
yeah.
ears. Yeah. But to me, Buffalo Nickel's better. But
Yeah.
a lot. I don't even know if there was a single.
Well,
off
did
it.
he write "I Love You"? Period.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's such a brilliant.
Yeah,
song.
it's so great. Yeah.
It's so smart.
Yeah. Because you got to remember too, like, so his band was the Georgia Satellites.
Yes, I haven't
before.
listened to them, but I know. of them.
Yes, it's very similar, right? And they were a big deal, like when they came out, because they came out in '86 when it's just like peak garbage, right? Like, so
Yeah.
the productions are terrible, and so any bands that had some remote sound that was like natural, like
Mhm.
guitars, bass, drums. Yeah, they stood out, and they did. That was
Yeah.
just a great couple songs they had. Oh, and Battleship Chains was Georgia Satellites.
Yes, I
Which
totally forgot about that because Volbeat does a cover
Yes,
of it,
yeah.
which is I
That's
love
what
that
blew my
song.
mind. Like, you guys should listen to this. Like,
Yeah,
why are you listening
right?
to George Sali's? But it's Volbeat's version.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's actually on another one of my favorite records of all time is Seal the Deal and
Yeah.
Let's Boogie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was earlier in late 2017, before early 2018.
Yeah.
That was my soundtrack. Was that and Primus's Pork Soda
Oh yeah. Yeah. Nice.
and Passing Light of Day.
For sure.
was-
Yeah.
And also, there's an album, Bloom by Caligula's Horse, which is a name
Mhm.
you probably
Oh, I
haven't heard
forgot
in a
about
while.
them.
Yes,
Yeah.
amazing.
Yes.
I really want that on vinyl. Bloom,
I forgot about
amazing
them. Yeah.
record. That's actually another one. I never skip a song on that album, and it's
Okay.
same as this, 9 tracks,
Interesting.
which is
yeah.
really weird. But
Well, yeah, albums should be. I mean, like we were talking about Dire Straits. Those are 8-track albums. Like
Yeah.
the first couple anyway. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. You should never need to go 8, 9, 10. Cut the crap. Yeah. Just go
Yeah.
for it. Yeah. Jason's been really good for that. I think maybe some of his earlier stuff. Again, like
Reunions was a little longer. I think.
11. Yeah, it wasn't huge,
12,
hugely
yeah.
long though. But and actually, no, I take that back because it wasn't. Actually, Southeastern had like 13
Ooh, I
tracks or
don't
something like
remember,
that. But yeah, the idea that you don't have to just fill up the space, but
Yeah.
so much art is driven by the medium itself. And
Yeah.
in these cases, it was like, well, we need an album, so you better throw some songs on there. But
Yeah,
nowadays, yeah, it's they're just doing it this way.
yeah,
But yeah, I
great.
mean, we should wrap up on Jason here. I mean, his for musicians, he is obviously such a monster guitar player.
yeah. His tones.
Yeah, his tone, the rig rundown of his guitar tech
yeah, I
takes him
forgot
through it.
about
It's
that,
so
yeah.
good. Yeah, he's got lots of weird little tricks for his live
Yeah.
show because he does play a lot of slides, so they
Yes.
have to use more compression because they're playing at quieter volumes and yeah, it's really cool.
What's there? Have you ever watched the Tiny Desk concerts?
Yeah,
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 there's
used to.
he has one.
Oh, does he? Oh,
I haven't
okay.
watched it yet.
Oh, I haven't watched those in years.
There's
I-
a couple I want to watch. He's one
Yeah.
of them. Mac Miller has a Tiny Desk.
Oh,
concert
really?
Too,
Oh,
which
that'd be
I'm
interesting.
really interested
Yeah.
to see a hip hop artist.
yeah. Because I remember
Um,
sometimes they would take in like little tiny instruments too, like they
Yeah,
would
yeah.
have, like little pianos,
desk
and-
drums.
Yeah,
and
yeah, drumming
super,
on the-
super cool idea.
yeah,
So that'll be interesting.
yeah. Yeah, I should definitely check that out.
Yeah.
There's a live. I guess it's on DVD. I've seen it on TV. I don't know if maybe PBS played it or something, but where he's playing like slide, and he's got he's got his own Cooter caster, like a Rycooter based.
Oh, yeah. That's
guitar,
cool.
and his slide playing is good or better than
What kind of
anyone's.
slide does he use?
Oh boy, I can't remember.
Yeah.
Like as far as the actual like brass or
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. Yeah. I'm not sure. I don't remember.
Because I have a porcelain,
Yeah,
which is the inside feels weird.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's nice. It's
Yeah.
purple. So
They
it
break
looks
easy,
cool.
by the way.
Do they?
I've
Yeah.
I've broken them on stage. Yeah.
Shoot.
That's why I went back to metal.
Yeah, I used to use just a metal, but I find my favorite right now is just a glass one.
Yeah.
Because I was
Yeah.
learning. I don't do a lot of slide. I'd like to get better at it, but I love Congo's Lunatic. That's another one of my favorite records.
Yeah. Yeah.
that I
Cons,
could almost front to back. There's a couple songs I would skip, but
Yeah. Yeah.
learning those slide solos in that. I
Well,
use
sure,
glass
and
at
of course
least.
it was pedal steel on
Yeah.
some of it, but when they do them live, as you may remember when we did see them
Vaguely,
live,
yeah.
which I'm so glad
Yes.
we did.
Yes, me too.
Yeah, he actually did just do it on
Yeah.
guitar, and that's where a lot of guys like. So Isbell has a Cooter caster because Rycooter always had like, I think it was a Telly or whatever, but then
Mm-hmm.
he had like these pickups that were like from old lap steels or whatever, and so
Oh, yeah.
that sound that Rycooter
Yeah.
gets is partly because of this unique guitar. And so a
That's
lot of guys
cool,
build their
yeah.
own Cooter casters, and
Sweet.
yeah, Jason's got one, and and it sounds
Yeah, his
marvelous,
slide
yeah.
is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. On Tupelo, his slide.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I think it's used quite a bit actually, but it's not super obvious.
Yeah.
And sometimes it even sounds close to a string like fiddle or something.
yeah.
But yeah,
Oh, definitely. No, he's a real inspiration. Yeah, I mean, I guess I can't remember. I guess if we said it before, like I feel like he's speaking for me, and that's pretty
Yep.
rare. And I think you feel the same way too.
Yep.
Even though he's older than you, like he's more my age, but he's, it feels like he is speaking stuff that I want to say, and that's
yeah. And I almost when I talk about him, I almost feel embarrassed to call it country.
Well, for sure.
Because
No,
people
I
make
know.
assumptions, and
Yeah.
you know, they say, "Oh, I've never heard of him," and then
Yeah.
they'll never listen to him, and they'll
They
just go
probably
back.
won't. Yeah.
They'll just go back to their Luke Bryan, and which is
Yeah.
fine.
Or
He's got some cool
yeah.
tunes,
Or
but
they won't.
he's on.
They won't listen at all. Some people
Yeah.
won't like.
Yeah, they
if you
don't
say
care.
country, they just ignore it or whatever.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
and I even for quote unquote country fans, Isbell's he's on another level. He's
Well,
not.
yeah.
You can't touch him,
And
and they'll never reach him.
He
'cause-
represents that. There's popular country music,
Mhm.
and then there's the terms like Americana or alt country music,
Mm-hmm.
alt country or whatever.
Right.
I hate all of that, but it is what it is. You gotta drop in a bucket somehow to sell them to people. But
Yeah.
you will never hear him on new country radio.
I've never heard him on the radio.
Well, I mean, maybe the odd station like our buddy Corey Noel there. I'll have to introduce you to him sometime.
Yeah,
He runs a
please
station
do.
in Olds. He has a country station in Olds. He actually programs it, and it's he actually like will play like songs that should fit the format, and they do. And in where he programs, it does work.
Yeah.
But in you go to a major city or whatever, and it's just the same top 40 artists.
I hear the same song,
Yeah.
and he doesn't do much with alcohol, but when he does, it's actually meaningful. Because there is some, he does touch on alcoholism.
Well, he's
but
sober,
it's-
right?
Yeah,
he's,
and he doesn't touch on it like, normally it's like party based, but it's not. It's very meaningful. It's like I really like. Actually, I was just thinking before we started this, he does a really cool rhyme scheme, and it's probably more common than I think. But in what song is it? Tupelo, actually. He says, "Haven't been wasted in a long time, but tonight it feels just fine. Riding home with the windows up, along with the plastic cup of real good wine."
Yeah.
Which is, and if you think about the rhyme scheme to that too, it's like,
Yeah.
haven't wait. So time,
Yeah.
fine, up, cup,
Yeah.
wine.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
AABB.
Yeah.
A.
Rhymes
Yeah.
rhyme schemes are an interesting thing to play with. Yeah.
They are, and I was just watching a video about Kendrick Lamar using like old school, like Shakespearean type rhymes, which on a theory basis you can acknowledge it, but you probably never notice it.
Yeah. Mark Cohen was to me the king of that too. And actually, I
Yeah.
heard him talk about how there's that song Silver Thunderbird, and he
Yes, I know
coming
that
up
one.
Winslow down South.
That
Park
was on the
Boulevard.
second album, right?
No, it
Was
was the
it?
first one.
Oh, it was the first
It was
one.
the
Okay.
second single on the first record, but
Okay, yeah.
the rhyme scheme is so bizarre, and he admitted that he stumbled onto it accidentally, but he realized after he had written it that it was actually quite cool. Like,
Yeah.
coming up Winslow down South Park Boulevard, looking good from tail to hood. My
Mm.
fancy polished steel looked just like the Batmobile with my old man behind the wheel.
Oh,
Like it's just
yeah.
like, whoa, okay,
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Rhymes were really cool.
Yeah.
Actually, I did want to bring this up on the podcast. I was just learning about something that I thought would be cool to talk about. It's called the Scotch. What is it? It's a type of. And it's used a lot in hip hop. It's basically, da ba da 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 ba da da.
Oh.
It's used a lot in hip hop.
Rhythmics, yeah,
It's
rhythmic.
the Scotch snap. That's what it's called, and because it's traditionally used in a lot of Scottish music.
Oh,
but
sure.
it's taken over the hip hop industry. You listen to Cardi B, like think about WAP. I want to I
yeah.
want to explicit
Yeah.
content. Yeah,
Okay.
it's the Scotch snap, which I
Okay,
thought
yeah.
was interesting. There's probably lots of examples.
Well, that
of
has
it.
that marching feel too, right? Like
Yeah.
there's a forward momentum to the cadence of it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and it kind of it holds you back, and then it snaps.
Yeah.
So,
And yeah, no, that's
sa-ba-da-da. Yeah.
brilliant. Yeah.
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 Just
Very
on,
cool.
on the topic of rhyming and stuff. but
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
Brilliant.
gonna put up I'll put up the podcast there on Spotify, all about Jason Isbell. We'll throw some, maybe a couple Truckers tunes, and then obviously we've got lots to work on with. He's also
Yeah.
made some appearances on some tribute stuff, stuff with his wife, which is probably the only redeeming thing about his wife. I'm sorry, I'm not a fan, but I like her for him, and that's great. But
I liked her stuff on this. I
Yeah.
actually I really like on If We Were Vampires. The fact that she sings with him makes it all that much
Yes.
better, because
yeah.
it really shows a deep connection.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. That's there's
yeah.
nothing like it. And it's funny because Stapleton has the same thing with his wife.
Yeah,
She does all
yeah.
the harmonies too, and he almost needs her. Like he's so paralyzed on stage. He's getting
really?
better, but yeah,
That's
it's
good. Yeah.
he's he just wants to sing, and I think that's
Yeah.
partly what I like with these guys. They're like the working horses. Like they could give a shit
Yeah.
about being popular or whatever. They just
Totally.
want to write and sing and play, and
Yeah.
but they're good at it, and they're successful at it. Isbell is a really good example of a guy that did his business well too. Like once he got through the trucker stuff, got sober. Now you'll notice, what's the name of the record label?
Nashville Sound.
No.
Oh, the record label.
Yeah.
I thought it was. Oh no, at 30 Tigers, right?
Well, that's the distributor, but
Okay, then
underneath of it.
Southeastern.
Yeah. So he
Yeah,
created
so
his
that's
own.
his thing.
He owns his own masters. He owns
Okay.
all his songwriting, publishing. He goes
That's
on
cool.
tours. Yeah. So
Well, and
he's
Southeastern's a cool name. And
Yeah.
I'm assuming he's from the Southeast then.
yeah, he's from Alabama, I think.
Some Appalachian area.
Yeah, I think he's from Alabama, but yeah, and he came from there, but did not necessarily fit in with the whole perverse sort of
Yeah.
bigotry that was probably around him. I
And
mean, that's everywhere, but
It
yeah,
comes
it's-
through a lot in the record on
Yeah.
White Man's World and Blast of My Kind, especially those. But even then, if once I start naming tunes, then it's like, but also Tupelo and also Cumberland Gap.
Yeah,
Actually, yeah, I think those really shine on that. The
Yeah.
rest of them are kind of lovey, more story. I mean, anxieties.
yeah,
But Chaos and Clothes, Something to Love, Molotov. Those are very much not like sappy love songs. They're just good stories.
I think that's maybe my only criticism of his, and I shouldn't. Yeah, I'm okay. I'll say it because it's a podcast, and
Yeah.
it is just I found with reunions,
Mhm.
I feel like he's still treading the same topics.
Yeah.
I mean, what have I done to help? I know he definitely tried to break out.
Oh,
of
that's a great song.
it. It
yeah.
is, and he should write about what he knows and what he's good at. But I feel like there's going to be a leap.
Yeah.
And I don't think we've got it yet because reunions is a great record again.
Well, and he's such a good storyteller.
Yeah, yeah.
He will end on the overseas. I mean,
Yeah.
first of all, we're gonna talk about his guitar tone.
Well, yeah, sure.
That one is just
Yeah,
like that's if I just put top 3 favorite guitar tones, it would
Yeah.
be that would be top 3.
yeah.
Other one would be probably For the Love of God by Steve Vai. I
Yeah.
love his tone.
Oh
on
yeah, that's
that. and they're almost similar, except his
Yeah.
is in a way, except of course Steve Vai's got more of a heavy distortion on, whereas Isbell's probably got a more medium gain or something.
well, yeah. It's amp too. It's a different
yeah,
type of game.
yeah.
Like the Isbell one, that sounds like a broken up, like a plexi or something. It sounds like
Yeah.
a Marshall kind of just being leaned into. Whereas of course the Vi stuff has more like high gain
Yeah.
amps and stuff. But yeah, no,
Yeah.
there's an emotive quality to great playing. Great playing is
Yeah.
great playing. Whatever. Yeah.
But yeah, his storytelling on that is
Yeah.
awesome.
No, and it is, yeah. And I feel bad even saying that, but that's been my only observation is I felt like when I'm listening to you, it's like, okay, yeah, you're still a drug addict, but you're recovering. Yeah, you got a great wife and a great kid. Yeah. But
Yeah. Oh yeah.
it's
no,
still better, so
you
much
can
better
still-
than anything.
Yeah.
That,
I mean,
yeah,
and just because it's a criticism doesn't mean he has to
that's yeah.
do anything. Like it's
Yeah.
if you want something different, I guess.
Well, it's yeah, and it's funny because I mean I shouldn't even like it's not even a criticism so much, just as an observation of mine
Yeah.
that and I'm glad like I like a lot of our heroes, I want him to be a healthy, happy person too.
Of course.
And if that's what it takes for him, like sometimes when our artists make these really bizarre detours, it means they're not in a good
Yeah,
place.
that's
and
true.
and my favorite record of all time is Love Pain, the Whole Crazy Thing by Keith Urban. He was fucking losing it on coke and almost married and just like, but that's why that album's so freaking good.
It's an awesome
It's so
record.
weird and wacky,
There's some really
but
killer
still
songs
super
on it.
commercial and
Yeah,
you
and
know.
I think that's kind of where Keith Urban draws a line between meaningful and popular. I think he's nailed it.
Oh, of course,
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I was gonna say this is my favorite country record.
yeah.
Because it is, but I don't have a whole catalog of country
Yeah.
records to go on. The only other ones would be like Keith Urban, basically, like Fuse had some killer songs.
Yeah.
Somewhere in My Car is one of the coolest songs I've ever
Yeah,
heard.
isn't that cool? Yeah.
It's so cool.
But so like for me, I'm glad to hear you call that this a country record because it has far more in common with proper country music up to a certain point. Like basically, Shania is where to me that's where the line changed.
Okay.
When Mutt Lange came in, as much as I love it, to me that everything flipped over
Yeah.
in the mid '90s. Garth had brought in the rock and roll live element, but still remained very country visually and in his heart too. But Shania brought the pop, and it really flipped everything over. So we wouldn't really have a Keith Urban without Shania. But that being said, Jason Isbell is like what I think what country is supposed to be. Whereas now what we would call just country is whatever you hear on
Yeah.
the typical playlists. And there's
Well,
more
and that's why I say I it's not that I feel embarrassed, but I don't
Oh,
want
no,
to I don't want to call it country because I don't want people to get the wrong.
well,
idea.
I know exactly what you're going through. You'd call it Americana, really,
Yeah.
because there is an Americana association now. There's an Americana Music Awards, and this is where people like Jason live, and you're like John Prine, who just passed away.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, like they're considered Americana now.
Right.
It's a mixture of like folk and R&B, and elements of classic rock.
Yeah, because the only other thing I would call this would be a rock, but it's not even rocky. Well, there's some rockin' to it.
But you're not going to say that 3 Days Grace is also rock, or right, but
Yeah.
so it
Well, yeah,
rocks in a
rock
different
is
sort of way.
It's such a broad spectrum. It's like
Yeah.
autism.
Well, that's right. What a spectrum it is.
Yeah, some of it's garbage. And
Yeah.
For not that.
No,
people
no,
with
I know
autism
what you
are
mean,
garbage,
yeah.
But yeah, some of it sucks to live
Yeah.
with.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. So
Yeah. No, but yeah, exactly. It's it's hard to everything is on a continuum, and you have to just take it for what it is. Unfortunately, labeling things helps people. I hate having to come up with genres and this and that, but it's all about the elevator pitch. So it's business, right? So
it is. And people with a small music vocabulary need that. Like even my girlfriend, I'm like, I wrote a guitar riff and it was not country at all. It musically, rhythmically, it was not country, but I used hammer-ons and pull-offs.
Yeah.
And she said, "Oh, that sounds country."
Sure. Yeah.
Because people identify that with country. I'm like almost offended because I know what she thinks is country, and that's not what I want to be at all.
Yeah.
So I'm like, but I just know that if people had a bigger music vocabulary, which they don't need to, it's just music.
Well, that's right.
If you like it, listen to it.
But
I don't
people,
care.
Most people are. I find. It's almost like it's like an insecurity. It's I think we all have that, everything to a point, but they just they want to be able to explain it and to feel like to find some reason and some sort of a box for it to live in.
Yeah.
And most people actually have a pretty eclectic music taste. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I listen to everything. Well, most people do, but
Totally.
yeah, is it country? Is it rock? Whatever. I mean, rock is dead. Foo Fighters are the only thing left, and so it is what it is. But it's still just great music. So
just call it music.
Isbell, Isbell is a modern. He's a living legend already.
A modern classic.
Yeah, he's a modern classic. Yeah,
That should be a T-shirt.
Yeah,
with some merch for you there.
Oh well, it's
modern classic.
Yeah, it's could do that for sure. But and it's I'm glad that you discovered him and
Me too.
That you're sticking with him too. He's an awesome artist, awesome musician, and proof that you can hit some like he was. If you listen to the Mark Maron interview with him on the podcast, it was a great interview. That was around Southeastern too, so a lot has changed. But he talks all about his time with the truckers and sobriety, and
I mean, I assume he did lots of coke. Sounds like
I
it in
guess,
his songs. In his songs, I get that. He talks a little bit about it.
He definitely drank, and I guess it would have to be coke, right? Because I mean,
that's the duo.
Yeah, as long as you've got the money, I guess, and I get pretty cheap, I think. But.
Well, and I think the only direct reference to cocaine on this album is in White Man's World. He says, "White man living in a white man's town, want to take a shot of cocaine and burn it down."
Yeah, for sure.
Get all so good. That makes me so angry.
I
and I don't usually get like that about that stuff, but even that.
As Beavis would say on Beavis and Butthead, I feel like knocking something over.
Yeah.
Or no, that might have been Butthead who said that.
I just saw a really good comment on. We were talking last time. I was watching the Rage Against the Machine, the Bulls on Parade video, and I was watching the Killing in the Name of video after, and somebody was like, it was a really funny comment, but like this song makes me want to like, go like ride a bike and not wear a helmet or something.
Yeah,
it was more clever than that, but it was still really funny.
Ride a skateboard and drink an Ocean Spray and listen to Fleetwood Mac. Yeah.
Oh man, don't even. Yeah.
Oh man, we're so far every episode's gotten longer. We're at 48 minutes and 50 seconds right now. So
didn't even feel
probably a good time to stop because
I have to urinate.
If this was a side of a cassette, it would have clicked because we would have run out of room on the 90-minute.
I guess that's probably a better thing that we're.
Yeah.
I mean, we could probably go on for
Well, I'm trying to
hours,
keep them tight, but yeah, I mean, I was actually a little worried that we wouldn't find enough to talk about with Jason Isbell because, I mean, sadly, his catalog isn't as deep as a lot of people's. You know,
I mean, I think that at least for us, I think I'm actually concerned that we're going to have too much to talk about.
yeah,
And
probably.
we're not going to get to all of it.
Well, we'll. That's why we're doing them weekly. So
Yeah.
so that and if for the 5 people that listen, then they'll know exactly what we're going to be on to next week. All right, this is KARAC HENDRIKS. This road is mine. We were talking about Jason Isbell and the 400 unit, the Nashville Sound, 2017, 30 Tigers Distribution, Southeastern Records. I'd like to, on behalf of Cohen Hendricks and Archer, who just left, along with dropping a bunch of hair. So long, and check it out. And going to have the playlist up there with some of our favorite Isbell selections, keeping it to a 10 and then adding all my tracks because, if you just leave it on random, you can check me out too. Okay, peace.
There you go.